Long delays and ultimately missed flights. Passengers continue to report travel headaches at Tweed New Haven Airport. Tweed officials told the I-Team earlier this year they made changes to avoid the congestion issues that happen over the winter holidays. But have things gotten better? Your consumer investigative reporter Cassidy Williams has been closely following this. She is joining us now to explain. Cassidy.
Well, Aaron, Tweed just keeps expanding. TSA tells us the busiest day in Tweed history was April 13th. That's the Sunday before Easter, a popular day for spring break travel. More than 4,000 people were screened through TSA that day, but not everyone actually made it onto their flights. Spring break in New Orleans. It's a bucket list destination for many, but for several Connecticut families, getting to the Big Easy was anything but easy.
I don't understand leaving your passenger signs.
They were not very kind and helpful.
Eve Balistreri and her son Daniel and Marisa Rockwell and her family were both booked on the same Avello flight out of Tweed to New Orleans on the morning of Sunday, April 13th. They both say they showed up hours ahead of time.
Me being the person I am, I want to get there extra early, so I got there at 7 o'clock in the morning. Our flight didn't leave till 9:20.
But they weren't immediately allowed to get in the TSA line. They tell the I-Team Tweed employees instructed them to wait in the arrivals building instead.
They also continually asked who's New Orleans, we're all raising our hands, and they weren't letting people who were raising their hands through.
Here are some of the pictures they took during the long wait, frustrated, but still expecting to fly.
And they kept reassuring us over and over again that don't worry, you'll get on your flight.
But once finally through security, they learned the flight left without them.
What are you talking about? Like there's people behind us that were like, it turned into almost like not like a riot, but like people were like, it was pure chaos.
And there wasn't another flight to New Orleans for days.
The worst thing was they're like, hey, oh, and the next flight doesn't leave till Thursday.
This isn't the first time the I-Team has reported on congestion leading to missed flights at Tweed.
You need to be here 5 hours early, literally, to make your flight.
Our cameras captured traffic, long lines, and chaos over Christmas break. In January, the CEO of the company that runs the airport, Michael Jones, told the I-Team they were working to better space out flights to prevent that from happening again.
We feel that if we can kind of decompress the schedule, that it'll go back to kind of what we were seeing before.
So why were crowds like that again on April 13th? TSA confirms to the I-Team that morning, one of the X-ray machines went down. So officers had to screen bags by hand, a TSA spokesperson saying in a statement. Both Avello supervisors and managers told TSA they did not tell passengers who were impacted that it was TSA's fault and that they would be issued refunds. The families we spoke to were not offered refunds.
They couldn't give you money back. They can only give you points back, which costs them nothing.
Avello denied our request for an on-camera interview, a spokesperson only responding to our questions through email. She said Avello could not confirm TSA was told customers would receive refunds. The spokesperson wrote they delayed the New Orleans flight almost 90 minutes to try and accommodate customers stuck in TSA. At that point, we had to attempt to salvage the day so that the rest of our flights could fly.
We always regret any disruptions to the passenger experience.
Tom Cavalier is Tweed's Director of Community Engagement. He explains that Tweed had to limit entry into the main terminal for safety reasons on April 13th because it had reached capacity. But the decision for the flight to take off was Avello's alone.
An airline calculates its decision on when to leave for a variety of different reasons.
Cavalier says Tweed is once again making changes to try and keep up with the growing demand, like the current construction, which will add a third TSA line.
There were issues at Christmas. Tweed made changes. Tweed kept growing. Then there's some issues over spring break. Tweed make changes. Tweed will keep growing. Is it a constant game of catch-up?
It is a constant process of meeting the demand for travel out of this airport as we grow. So, we'll continue to grow and we'll continue to improve alongside that growth to make sure that the passenger experience is as smooth as possible.
For the passengers we spoke to, instead of waiting for the changes, they are changing where they fly.
How does this whole experience make you feel about flying out of there in the future?
I don't want to go.
No, I don't really want to fly with them again.
The Balistreris spent $1,300 to buy tickets on a different airline out of JFK to New Orleans. Rockwell used points on a different airline to book new flights out of Boston later that day.
we missed out on a couple of the tours we were supposed to take that night, and there's no refund for that.
Their trips eventually hitting the right notes. But they aren't jazzed about ever flying out of Tweed again.
Now, that third TSA line is expected to open at Tweed in early July. We also spoke over the phone to a third family who also missed that same New Orleans flight, but they were given refunds. Avelo tells us all passengers were offered Avelo travel funds for future flights, and in some cases refunds were offered. The spokesperson didn't explain why certain cases were handled differently. Your consumer investigative reporter, Cassidy Williams, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.